So that, I'm just gonna make a note, is that something that maybe we could work on for numbers.
It's okay more or less with the military, because in military we have a special order.
Right,
Just to, we have many amputees in still active service.
right, but as
And
you move towards civil society,
Yeah.
it's not gonna help you if there's not a ramp to get the wheelchair up into the office.
Yeah.
So it's, could be simple things, they look simple, but people, as you said, bureaucrats make them very hard.
There is another issue as well. We have Ministry of Social Security and Ministry of Veterans.
Yeah.
And if, let's say in this way, if you have someone who was drunk and he lost his hand for train or whatever because he was drunk, he has the same amputee as a person who lost his hand defending his country.
Yeah.
So for Ministry of Social Security, it's
There's no,
legally,
there's no veterans
it's
preference.
legally the same.
So there's no veterans
Yes.
preference.
So they're
That's
still
interesting.
trying to find the way
Yeah.
between Ministry of Veterans
Because
and
within,
Ministry of Social.
interesting, because within the United States, many companies, private companies, as well as the government, has what's called veterans preference for hiring. And then if you're disabled, that gives you a higher preference number, so when you're being interviewed for a job, you get a certain amount of points from them. So I'm sorry I digress, but I'm trying to look at some things that are just
Well,
not standard what we've been looking at, so that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
so I guess one of the things, the question I have, just observing, look, Ukraine, you're building a state, 30 years of independence is not a very long time. You've been at war for what, 7 now years or whatever. And so part of it is the building of a culture, right, within society, how to deal with whatever issues, veterans. And I mean, here in the United States, we have several different, multiple mechanisms where we really try to bring to the general public a consciousness of, what the needs are, whether it's, Memorial Day, concert. So the question is there a sense of social responsibility within civil society? Does it need a little bit more stimulus to be aware and to help? Because I've heard that sometimes that people coming back from the war, like what happened here after Vietnam, were not appreciated. But here there's all these things or organizations, right, that have campaigns. I mean, even like the job things, I mean, that wasn't happening all the time, but somebody pushed that. And I think American Chamber of Commerce in Cave, do they have a program that's working with the veterans? They should, because they've got all these American companies that are doing it here.
Oh, but may I say something? I actually talked to Mr. Hunter from American Chamber of Commerce, and he did mention they do hire handicapped people. Every year they have a certain amount of percentage where they hire people that are injured and
You mean the chamber does?
yeah, they
No,
do.
I'm talking, my point is here they have special job fairs, which is exclusively for veterans.
Yeah, so does the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine, for example,
Yeah.
partner with Ukrainian-owned companies to implement these same measures?
Yes.
How? I mean, how is
I
that?
mean, I think that within the
Well, I think
company.
it's something we need to explore, but
Yeah.
that definitely is a vehicle.
Yeah, I did offer, after our English classes for veterans, I did offer several resumes to them. I forwarded to them so they can look and maybe hire some of the veterans, and so that's what they
Okay.
told me about.
I would like just to
Yeah.
give chance to talk to
Yes.
our
Okay,
guys
sorry.
to add something.
We said we're gonna listen and then we were talking.
I just have a lot of
First of all, we give good chance to practice
So I can't,
language.
I can't.
Well, maybe we just go around and everybody introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about
Maybe
your service.
say several words. My name is Stanislav. I wanted to say that everybody of us is from different units, different corpses. There are many from the army, from the National Guard, from the SEALs, and so on. We are different forces, and we have different knowledge, different about the same issues in the war and the battle and so on. So we can unite our knowledge to ask your question. You're asking about the aid. We of course didn't prepare for answers about the aid, but we can say about the conversation with the American veterans, with the Americans, with you and another friends, and that's, I think, the most priceless in this visit, in this aid. Of course, it's for us. We need to know that we are not abandoned, and people are interested to speak with us, to talk with us, to communicate. And of course, I think one of the biggest problems with veterans is with wounded people, with as we said before, with amputees, about the jobs. I'm a little bit a kind of law specialist in Ukraine, and I can say that we have the necessary laws, but they are not implemented. The business have the problem, different problems to employ veterans, because they're much more. We have more problems to employ veterans than the other people. I think we could teach from Ukraine, from United States, how to employ these laws in practice. And that's all, I think. But we can answer the questions. We didn't prepare for such questions.
No, think of this as the beginning of a conversation. Okay, we're meeting, we introduced it, we are in constant communication. So this is the beginning of a conversation. So don't think that you have to be prepared. So please, no, that was really important. So maybe can we start maybe?
Вадим, может, maybe you would like.
Можу сказати кілька слів, тому що забрати час.
По-англійську зможеш?
Ну це буде, я думаю, українською сформулюю, мені буде простіше висловитися, скажімо так.
Тільки говори короткими фразами.
Так, короткими фразами. Я зрозумів, як це працює, наскільки це дієва штука в Шотландії, коли я вперше виступав за ветеранську бесіду.
I understood how effective is approach of rehabilitation for sport when I took part in the first hiking in Scotland as a part of the Veterans Dozen Foundation.
Ми зустрілися з нашими американськими друзями, які так само пережили війну, Ірак, Афганістан.
We met our veterans, our friends from the United States during this event who suffered from Afghanistan and Iraq war.
Я дивився їхнє ставлення до життя, що це люди більш реабілітовані, більш вже сприймають себе в цьому світі і розумію, що ми маємо приблизно йти орієнтовно тим самим шляхом.
And I found how they are positively related to the active life, how they recovered from depression, and so I think after that we have to follow the similar approach.
Те, що ми тут, це вже велика перемога наших обох країн, і ми тут не лише представляємо Україну, ми вчимося.
And the fact that we are here is a great advantage, and so we learn from each other and
Дякуємо за таку можливість, те, що ви в команді з ветеранами з Сполучених Штатів, з Великої Британії. Ми, як дійсно воююча країна за свою землю, можемо дати їм свій досвід і запозичити їхній досвід. Я вважаю, що це дуже прекрасна синергія.
We are grateful for support from the US and British veterans, so we have our experience of the war and they have their own, so we're ready to share it. Okay. Yuri Rudenko, by the way, with us. He's an author of the book inadmissible. I would like to use this chance to present Deborah's book. His book,
But let's present book a little bit later. Why are we here? What's the main goal? The main goal is even not rehabilitation. The main goal is to recruitment of new people to Ukrainian army, just because the war is going on. And if some young man or woman will know that Ukrainian veteran, even after his duty, will be not forgotten, will get some kind of help, some kind of rehabilitation, will get possibilities to travel around the world and some and other stuff. So that the prestige of serving in army will raise. So much more people join the army, and they will close our victory. In the time that state of Ukraine is in war, so the all of activities about veterans, about militaries, is pointed to get new people in many different ways. And for last 5 years, I work in the sphere of propaganda, in the sphere of researching of military history, and I figured that people join army sometimes for money, sometimes for taking adventures, but people people go to battle only for idea, not for money, not for adventures, only for idea, for love of their country, or for defending motherland, even not for defending motherland, but defending their own mothers, children, and their own houses. And one of the one of the directions that can be supported by US. This is the telling US people and telling all the English-speaking people in the world. There are many such people. Buy books or another media. And now in Ukraine, we have more than 500 books wrote by veterans. And I talk about the books that was printed on the paper, that was completely produced. But many other veterans, they wrote books or some kind of production, and did not produced those memories or stories or something in a paper, for example. And part of these books that already we have in Ukraine, there are not only memories or not only documentaries about the war. There's a art. There's a real art that that civil people in Ukraine they buy this book just not because they are wrote by veterans, and not because they want to support veterans, but because there are interesting books, there are interesting stories, and this is some kind of literature, this is some kind of high literature. And if maybe this sounds like a dream, but 2 years ago, visiting USA, this was some kind of dream for me. If there will be some kind of program, or maybe some kind of sponsors, or some kind of that will be. Okay, I call it like a program. It will be like a program that US people who main book in US, will take our Ukrainian literature and choose from them the best maybe, and translate it and will sell on the territory of the US. This will be a huge impact to raising of image of Ukraine like a state, and this will be a huge impact to raising of image of the Ukrainian army. Just because I will finish soon. Just because Ukrainian army, not like the US army, has a unique experience. In 21st century, no one American soldier was under fire of the MLRS or heavy artillery. This has a reason. US Army has many high technologies weapons, and US soldiers don't need to be a hero every day. But in Ukraine, there are no such weapons, so Ukrainian soldier can has a unique experience that he can tell to everyone.
But there's also a fundamental difference between actively defending your homeland every day on your homeland, and then defending your homeland from 10,000 kilometers away. And I think that to me is what's so compelling here. But I already had an idea while you were talking, and I'm thinking of Brookings University Press. And they do a lot of translations, and the head of Brookings is retired General John Allen, who's a Marine and a friend, a good friend of mine, and this might be an idea that we could talk to him about, because Brookings does a lot of these. I mean, it's a small amount of money, it's not as much as if you went through a major publisher, but then they go out to targeted audiences. So I just made myself a note here.
It's a good point.
So, yeah, this is kind of goes to also my question about developing a culture of appreciation. So last night, Oksana Sukhina was at the event, and she wrote me afterwards about meeting you and discussing with you.